Hi everyone, I'm Kwangjun. I'll be talking about our work, understanding Atom Optimizer via online learning updates. Atom is FTRL in disguise. It's a joint work with Zhiyu Zhang, Yunbum Kook, and Yandai. The Atom Optimizer, as you all know, is the extremely popular optimizer for training neural networks that needs no introduction, really. Um, for background, traditionally, stochastic gradient descent have been the optimization algorithm of choice for optimization. But for training neural networks, new algorithm called Atom, developed by Kingma and Ba back in 2014, is the default choice. In fact, like the paper that developed Atom less than 10 years ago has been already cited about 180,000 times. It's extremely popular. And it's getting recent interest due to its effectiveness for training, especially large models, like transformer-based language models and so on. So the main question that we want to tackle in this work is, can we understand why Atom is so effective? Let me just briefly describe what Atom Optimizer looks like. So for notations, iterates, the parameter iterates of the optimizer, we denote it by XTs, and stochastic gradient by GT. Atom is a coordinate-wise algorithm, meaning we apply this update rule to each parameter of the parameter group. So we're going to use the scalar notation XTGT instead of bold fonts. For SGD, as we all know, it does this update where during each iteration, it moves toward the negative direction of stochastic gradients with some step size. But Atom does a more complicated update where for discounting factors, beta 1, beta 2, typically chosen very close to 1, like 0.99, does this update where you compute this fraction of this aggregated value of G divided by the square root of the aggregated values of G squares, and then move toward that with some step size. Okay, so throughout this talk, keep in mind these key components of Atom algorithm, the fact that it's aggregating all this history of stochastic gradients, often referred to as momentum in the literature, with some discounting factors beta 1, beta 2, okay? Okay, so what do we understand about Atom so far? I'd like to make a claim here is that our understanding is limited because most existing analysis of Atom consider the setting of either convex or smooth, for which algorithm like SGD already achieves the optimal convergence rate. So in other words, there's no room for us to show the superiority of Atom. In fact, the two latest works on this direction both mention that their convergence rates get worse with momentum, which is not the case in practice. When you turn off momentum of the optimizers, it works much poorer. Or Atom's convergence rate is no better than SGD, which is not reflective of practice because Atom oftentimes is much faster than SGD. So here the question is practical theory for Atom, and obviously that underscores the key components like momentum and discounting factors. And obviously to achieve this, we need to step away from these previous approaches where they consider analyzing Atom for smooth or convex settings. Okay, so our approach, to describe our approach, the first step is to let's abstract things away a little bit. So consider this abstract iteration optimization procedure where during each iteration, you move toward this delta t, where delta t is the update or increment during the t step, okay? So with this formalism or abstraction, SGT can be described as choosing delta t to be negative at a t negative direction of GT with some step size at a t, and Atom is this minus eta t of the fraction that I described earlier. Okay, so with this abstraction, what's good is that now you can like take a step back and see what's going on here. So basically, the name of the game here is given the observed history of stochastic gradients, G0 up to GT so far, what would you choose for the update, delta T? Okay. Wait, fortunate to us, this type of like sequential decision-making scenario where you make a choice and the environment reveal to you the next information about the environment. Here, the information about the environment will be gradient sequence G0 up to GT, and you make the choice delta T. So this kind of sequential decision-making setup is very well studied in machine learning under the name of online learning. There are multiple textbooks in the literature already. It's very well established with lots of exciting results. So our approach in our paper is why don't we leverage this power of online learning, this well-established field, and let's just use online learning to choose updates or increments of optimizers. So I show you this abstract formalism of the iterative optimization. Then why don't we just choose delta T based on G0 up to GT using some online learner, our favorite online learner. Okay. This way, there's a reduction between online learning algorithm and optimization algorithm. Whatever favorite online learner of choice you have, you can come up with an optimization algorithm. Okay. So I can first describe the main results in our paper at a high level first, and I'm going to go into a bit more details. So our results provide new perspective on Atom. So I told you that the online learning of update increment this framework reduces, make a reduction between online learning algorithms and optimization algorithm. And we show that Atom just corresponds to a very popular online learner called follow the regularized leader FTRL, which is very nice because FTRL is shown to be very effective. It just appears in like chapter 2 of like one of the textbook that I showed in the previous slide. On the other hand, optimization algorithm like SGD corresponds to poor online learner. So I'm gonna tell you what I mean by poor. Okay, so Adam chooses this update rule, right? And I'm gonna make a point that this corresponds to some form of well-known online learner called FTRL, which is good. But SGD chooses this, and I'm gonna make a claim that this is a poor online learner, and we can actually already see why it is the case. So SGD just chooses the delta T based of GT, and it ignores G0 up to GT minus 1. Right? You are given by environment all this history of the information about environment, G0 up to GT, and why don't you just use all of them to make the decision? But you're only like using the latest information GT, so hence you can already see that this might lead to poor decision making. It's just very myopic online learner. So theorem in our paper informally says that without key components momentum that I described earlier and discounting factor, online learner becomes poor. Hence, we can understand why Atom is so effective because it has both of them. All right, so let me get into more details of our main results. So under the online learning of updates increment this framework, you can actually show that dynamic regret, one of the performance metrics of online learning algorithm, leads to optimization guarantee. So what we care about here is that we need a good dynamic online learner. Okay, so let's start with the famous Adagret FTRL. It's a pretty good online learner utilizing this nice works by Mingma Striedler, Duce et al., and Orabona and Pal. So the update rule looks like this, and it's very effective because it's a gradient adaptive, and also it's scale free. So with this good algorithm, however, bad news here is that it's not good for online learning of updates or increments because update form FTRL as it is not a good dynamic online learner as shown by Jacobson and Kukoski from 2022. Intuitively, it's not a good dynamic online learner because it's not good at forgetting the past because it's just outputting the regularized minimizer of the cumulative loss so far. So the question here is that can we modify FTRL to better adapt to changing environment to come up with the dynamic online learner? And our approach is to utilize the discounting factor here. Um, what if we discount the losses from the distant past, or equivalently, because FTRL, scale-free FTRL is a scale-free online learner, why don't we just gradually upscale the losses as follows, where we choose the discounting factor, which is between 0 and 1, and we just gradually upscale the loss as we observe more recent stochastic gradients. Our main theorem informally says that for some carefully chosen beta, the discounted version of FTRL that internally replaces GT by this upscale gradient is a good dynamic online learner. And quick remark about proof technique, we introduced the notion of discounted regret and come up with this nice framework called discounted to the dynamic conversion, where you show the online learner has a good discounted regret, and that automatically leads to good dynamic regret guarantee. Okay, so let's see what this leads to. So this was the Atom update, as I showed you earlier. And if you consider the discounted version of Adagrad FTRL, which in turn replaces GT by beta to the minus T GT, then you get precisely this, which we call beta discounted FTRL. And it's basically a special case of Atom where beta 1 is chosen to be beta and beta 2 is chosen to be beta square. In fact, Atom precisely matches FTRL with the following choices. This is intended for experts. So I can be more formal about our main results. So there exists an online linear optimization instance such that any myopic online learner which chooses the update delta t just based on the last gradient GT will suffer from high dynamic regret. And same thing is true for undiscounted FTRL. It will suffer from high dynamic regret, but it's only with FTRL with the right discounting factor that leads to good dynamic regret, sublinear dynamic regret. In other words, to summarize, under this online learning updates increment reduction, myopic online learner, which is bad in terms of dynamic regret, corresponds to non-momentum optimizer, kind of justifying why non-momentum optimizers are not the best thing you can do. Same thing for undiscounted FTRL, which corresponds to Atom without discounting factors. But it's only when you do both momentum and discounting factor that you get good dynamic regret, kind of justifying why Atom is so successful. All right, I would like to quickly remark one follow work on mine. So building on this perspective of Atom corresponding to FTRL, in my recent work with Ashok Kukoski, we show that Atom with model exponential moving average achieves the optimal convergence rate for non-convex optimization, both for smooth and non-convex settings. I'm going to talk about model EMA in a bit. And the coordinate-wise adaptivity of Atom is particularly effective when the scale varies across different coordinates, which has been shown empirically the case for large transform model training, by the way. So model EMA is another extremely popular optimization technique in practice, and it's been observed multiple times. It's even necessary for diffusion model training for high quality image generation. And with this, building on the perspective in this paper, this follow work was able to come up with a practical theory that's showing that optimal algorithm is what actually people use to train neural networks or large models. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.